Hold on to your sarcophagi, because this gal supposedly waltzed into the history books by having oral sex with not just 2 or 10 or even 20 men in one night. We're talking about a staggering 100, count 100 satisfied customers in a single night. Cleopatra's jaw-dropping sex life. Oh boy, let's dive into the juicy world of Cleopatra's love life, shall we? I mean, the theories about her romantic escapades could fill a whole library. So, first off, she had a unique family situation where she ended up marrying her own brothers. But that's just the tip of the pyramid, my friends. Cleopatra didn't stop there. She caught the eye of not one, but two powerful Roman hunks. Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. I guess you could say she had a knack for picking M. And then there's the legendary story about her inventing a vibrator using bees. I mean, who even thinks of that? Now let's talk about Cleopatra herself. Was she the smoldering temptress Hollywood loves to portray? Well, probably. And did she know how to take charge in her relationships? You betcha. This gal knew how to work her charm, and it wasn't just about looks. She was as sharp as a pyramid edge, using her allure to get what she wanted. 100 men in one night. So, picture this. Armed with nothing but her mouth and hands and a whole lot of gusto, Cleopatra decided she was going to become the Picasso of pleasuring. Yep, she was aiming for nothing short of oral artistry. Yes, word got out about her, and let me tell you, she didn't just make waves, she made tsunamis. Rumor has it that she practically turned the Egyptian court into her own personal showcase, putting on a performance that had even the Sphinx blushing. And when I say performance, I mean literally a record-breaking, jaw-dropping extravaganza. Hold on to your sarcophagi, because this gal supposedly waltzed into the history books by having oral sex with not just 2 or 10 or even 20 men in one night. We're talking about a staggering 100, count 100 satisfied customers in a single night. Yeah, you heard that right. It's like she had a hotline straight to the gods of amorous endeavors. Caesar's gift. So, there's this legend that says Cleo kicked off her romantic resume at a very tender age. I mean, seriously, she started masturbating and having sex at a very young age and doing them like there was no tomorrow. It's like she was born with a go big or go home sign hanging over her crib. Now, those saucy Romans. They couldn't resist adding a splash of scandal to their tales. They painted Cleopatra as this mythical creature with an appetite for sex that could rival 1,000 Roman feasts. Picture their quills scribbling away, tongues wagging in the ancient equivalent of a late-night talk show green room. Did you hear about Cleo? Insatiable, I tell you. And then enter Julius Caesar, bearing gifts fit for an ancient queen. Instead of the usual flowers and chocolates, he apparently thought, why not something a bit more exotic? Yep, you guessed it, the mother of all dildos. I mean, way to think outside the gift box, Jules. Can you imagine the look on Cleopatra's face when she unwrapped that ancient equivalent of a novelty item? It's like a scene straight out of an ancient sitcom. I can almost hear the laugh track echoing through the marble halls. Sex parties and the lewd theater. So, here's the scoop. Cleopatra and her next squeeze, Mark Antony, were the ultimate dynamic duo of debauchery. They didn't just live the good life, they practically invented it. I'm talking weeks long, no holds barred, let's see how long we can keep this party going kind of orgies. And they didn't stop at group sex. Nope, they founded a whole club, known as the Inimitable Livers, because apparently, being just plain fabulous wasn't enough. Now, let's talk about this Society of Inimitable Livers. It's like they looked at the ancient world and said, you know what's missing? A group of people dedicated to living life to fullest, to the maximum. And thus, the Inimitable Livers were born. These folks knew how to feast like champions, have sex like pros, and party like there was no tomorrow. They basically turned the outskirts of Alexandria into party central, with a touch of cult-like devotion to the god Dionysus. Because why not throw in a little divine intervention for good measure? And let's not forget the pièce de résistance, the lewd theater. I mean, who needs a Broadway show when you can watch naked people dancing and petting each other while downing goblets of wine? It was like a Dionysian fever dream come to life, and Cleopatra and Mark Antony were the ringmasters of this wild circus. The love stick. A bit dissatisfied with Caesar's gift, legend says that Cleopatra once embarked on a rather unconventional DIY project. Driven by an unquenchable sexual appetite, she purportedly devised her own love stick, a vibrator. Yes, you heard it right, a self-made vibrator for personal pleasure. How, you ask? By putting angry bees into a hollowed-out gourd, a type of long, slender fruit. It's like she was the original inventor of ancient Egyptian, buzz-worthy technology. But hold on to your chariots, because in alternate versions of the story, Cleopatra apparently thought, why limit myself to gourds? Rumor has it that Cleopatra would sit naked on top of a sealed papyrus box full of angry bees, and would go on pleasuring herself. Talk about a box office hit. Cleopatra and Herod the Great. Alright, so here's the lowdown. Cleopatra and her Roman boyfriend Mark Antony took a little break while Antony was off battling in Armenia. Cleopatra decided to swing by Judea, where she ran into Herod the Great. Now, this Herod fella wasn't exactly Cleopatra's biggest fan. See, Antony had been pretty generous with Cleopatra, giving her some of Herod's territory. Herod, understandably, wasn't too thrilled about it. But guess what? Cleopatra wasn't one to let a little resentment get in the way of, well, sex. She decided to lay it on thick with Herod, making her feelings quite clear. According to the historian Josephus, maybe Cleopatra had a soft spot for the guy, or maybe, just maybe, she was setting a trap. Either way, she was smitten, or at least, that's what it looked like. Now, Herod, he was caught in a bit of a pickle. He couldn't quite figure out how to handle Cleopatra's advances, so he did what any perplexed ruler would do. He called a meeting with his pals. They all sat down and hashed out whether Herod should show Cleopatra the door or put her to bed with a shovel. In the end, they convinced Herod that killing Cleopatra might not be the best move, considering Antony might take it pretty personally. Herod figured maybe Antony would be better off if Cleopatra wasn't in the picture, but he went along with his buddy's advice. He gave Cleopatra an escort back to Egypt instead. In conclusion, alright, let's address the age-old question. Were Cleopatra's bedroom antics the real deal or just ancient gossip? I mean, come on, it's been over 2,000 years. We're talking about a time when Instagram was just a twinkle in a caveman's eye. So, verifying those juicy details is like trying to find a Wi-Fi signal in a pyramid. Were Cleopatra's love affairs legendary or just legendary exaggerations? We'll never truly know. But one thing's for sure, she knew how to keep people talking for centuries. Go on, Cleo, you saucy time-traveling minx.